Knuckles the Echidna Comic Issue 1. I have a feeling this comic was pretty infamous. And it's weird because I can really believe that it'd be a great idea with a lot of potential. If there's anyone who having his own comic would work for in the Sonic comic, it'd be Knuckles. While I didn't like him at first, thinking he was just an antisocial jerk, Knuckles has shaped up to be just as good of a main character as Sonic is. Not only are they both pretty similar in personality, being impatient, short-tempered, quick to act, and good fighters, as well as contrasting each other with Knuckles having moments of insecurity and being a serious, negative antisocial. But Knuckles also has his own team in the form of the Chaotix, and all of the Chaotix have distinct and memorable designs, and at least in theory personalities. I say in theory because we haven't gotten a focus on them as individuals to clearly see the personalities of each one and make them stand out yet. But in theory, the Chaotix all have the potential to me personally anyways, be a better group of characters than the Freedom Fighters are, because only Sally out of them really has a fully developed, believable character so far. While Rotor, Bunny, and Antoine are still really basic and one-dimensional, Antoine being the best of the worst. Bunny and Rotor are nice guys, I guess, and Rotor's also careful. And Antoine is a French stereotype. Great deep characters there. The Chaotix have fuller, more distinct personalities, making them more charming. And you got a unique thing where Knuckles as the main character is actually the leader of his own team, while Sonic is following the orders of Sally or Rotor all the time. Knuckles is the one actually making the plans. So the only problem with Knuckles that would drag him down as a main character of his own comic miniseries is that he's not fighting Eggman. He doesn't have a solid villain that he's guaranteed to be fighting a lot of the time. Especially not now in this period where Eggman is gone. Because he doesn't normally have an antagonist to fight, that's why he's usually used as more of a side character. So what stories could possibly be told with a character who spends most of his time sleeping in front of an emerald all day? Let's find out. We start out with a red button on a wall beeping with the wall glowing red, and then a text blurb states that this is in a hidden complex in Angel Island's Forbidden Zone. I was expecting the Forbidden Zone to be a really magical place due to Knuckles' father walking into fire to go into it. But instead it's technological. I guess not all of the echidnas were stupid enough to just abandon technology completely. Who knew? A silhouetted out of laziness echidna walks in and says to turn off the alarms and activate the monitors. He says that sensor readings are off the charts, and wonders if Dimitri had returned. Then another echidna, I wasn't aware Knuckles' father had a friend with him, calls him his brother and tells him to be patient and ready for anything. Then it's revealed not only that the first echidna was actually wearing a white cloak, which I couldn't tell earlier because it was in shadow, but this is also the introduction of the Dark Legion, as he panics at seeing a bunch of robots and flying saucers on the TV monitor. They're basically seeing an invasion of a very technological enemy who isn't Eggman. Remember, it's a psychological impossibility to know you're evil, at least without hating yourself, so the only explanation I can think of for why it's called such an obviously evil name as Dark Legion is because the army really wanted to sound menacing to their enemies, even if it would make them look like the bad guys. But yeah, the problem I can see with the Dark Legion so far is that they're a technological enemy when we already have Eggman. And sure, Eggman is destroyed for now, but the fact remains is we've already seen this. Then we cut to Knuckles and Archimedes hanging out as buddies together, and I'm taken by surprise by two things. One, that Knuckles' father is seen in the sky as, I guess, a hologram with a thought bubble attached to him, proving that he's really there, where he thinks about warning his son. So I guess when Knuckles calls his relatives omnipotent, he really fucking meant it, because I didn't know his father could project himself like a hologram in the sky like this. Though Nicole's made holograms too, and he has access to technology, so this isn't too far out there. Still, I hope Knuckles is exaggerating with the word omnipotent, because omnipotence is logically impossible. That would mean you could do anything, including create a boulder too heavy for you to lift, which would prove you can't do anything, and thus aren't omnipotent because you weren't capable of lifting it. It's a paradoxical, self-defeating concept. But yeah, I am pretty happy that we're seeing Knuckles hang out with his little ant friend again. It's cute, and implies that he does this all the time, that he has a soft side. I kinda feel sorry for Knuckles with what he's saying though. He thinks his omnipotent relatives aren't gonna bother him, because he used to have a pretty exhausting family, I guess. Archimedes then gets a bad feeling that something's not right, and wonders how he could convince Knuckles without telling the whole truth. Why wouldn't you tell the whole truth? Isn't that your duty as a friend? You're not testing him on his guardian skills anymore. Just tell him! Also, I wonder if we're being expected to believe Knuckles' father can see what's going on through the eyes of that hologram of himself. Invisible flying cameras, I guess. It turns out that Archimedes and Knuckles' father share a telepathic link, and he's received a message of great danger. Why would they share a link in the first place? It's not like they're twin brothers. Maybe they were best buddies at one point. Archimedes farmed it because he can do that. I know he's telepathic, but why doesn't he just do that with all of his friends, just in case? And as a telepath, he had no problem sending a message with his clear, vocalized thoughts in them, even without having a clear mental link with Charmy, for example. Knuckles hears a sound that worries him, and then out of nowhere, we cut back to the past, where we see once again the presentation of the Chaos Emerald training device with Dimitri and his brother, but this time there are some blue ants near them that weren't there before. The one on the right looking like an evil thug, and that never gets mentioned again in this issue. What is with the lighting in this room? It's suddenly all yellowish. Then we hear Dimitri's brother's kids show acute admiration for him, but then the flashback, which I'm not sure who was experiencing it, just ends. But because I got at least something new out of it, I don't feel like it was totally pointless. Knuckles walks towards the source of the noise, with Archimedes being impressed by his sense of hearing while calling him a sharp one. Quite an improvement from thinking he was a complete idiot. Still, he's a Mobian. Why wouldn't he have great hearing? In fact, I just looked it up, and echidnas do have an acute sense of hearing. So you'd think Archimedes wouldn't be surprised by this. The two of them come to a bright light shining through the trees, as Archimedes thinks his antennae are tingling. I don't think it's ever explained in this issue why his antennae were tingling, by the way. And then they see the robots, tanks, and UFOs that had been shown earlier, so I guess that bright light was a teleportation light. So they can teleport. That's pretty overpowered. And it looks like the person ordering a robot to go after them is wearing a black cloak too. We then have another out-of-left-field flashback, this time to Dimitri's brother running away from the rising Mount Fate. And it turns out that, oh, those actually were Dimitri's kids. I'm sorry, I just was confused at all hell at Dimitri having a wife and kids. I expected that out of his nicer brother. And then after asking where his father is, the kid hugs Dimitri's brother, saying how worried he was about him. So I guess he has a really close connection with his uncle too. This whole thing adds a layer of tragedy to Dimitri's inexplicably becoming evil, as it turns out that this deprived his kids of a loving father, making his becoming evil all the more sudden and inexplicable. We cut back to Knuckles and Archimedes, where it turns out that they had spent all that time until night hiding, when I'm sure they could have easily destroyed the army themselves with their fire breath and stuff, with the only explanation being that there's just too many of them. So what, Archimedes couldn't burn them all at once with his fire breath? I like Knuckles' short form for him, Archie. It's another way to show that they've become genuine friends, and Knuckles is opening up more from his old antisocial jerk persona. Archimedes uses his smoke bomb powers to teleport himself and Knuckles like 3 feet to the left to confuse the robot. Wow, that was lame. I guess that's the limit to his teleportation powers then. They're not too overpowered because he can only teleport a little bit. He can't just teleport the two of them to the Chaos Chamber from where they are now. Knuckles wonders why he's so suspicious of this evil robot army that just showed a desire to kill him. Really, Knuckles? At least Archimedes lampshades this, which I actually chuckled at. He then thinks to himself that the Dark Legion almost made an imposing first impression 400 years ago, as a reaction to the actions taken by Knuckles' side of the family. Wait, Knuckles' side? He's talking as if he's literally a part of Knuckles' family. Something tells me that would be impossible. I mean, if he wasn't, then he would have just said Knuckles' family. Yes! I love this! This makes perfect sense! I've been telling you all along how ridiculous it would be for all of the echidnas to be perfectly fine with giving up technology. And I suspected that maybe the Dark Legion was the result of this, of the 99% of echidnas who obviously weren't about to live like cavemen their whole lives because some city council voted for it. And now we see that the logical thing has happened. I wonder if they had planned this all along, or if the writers only realized how stupid that was later and wrote this in because of it. But yeah, I'm fully with this guy. He has such cathartic, relatable lines. Well, the citizens who are against the legislation shouldn't have to give up their technology. Think what you'll do to our quality of life. I'd probably say the same thing too. Now, the only thing that would make this better would be if it was almost all of the Echidnas were against this decision, while only a small group of weird extremists actually supported abandoning technology, because that would actually be logical. Both factions? Do you mean there were two factions? Logically, this guy is furious that his wife is betraying him by agreeing with this abandonment of modern conveniences, and that people are robbing him of them against his will. How dare you government thugs come in here and confiscate my property? Yes! I'm loving this guy right now. You gave them the VCR! Worse! You gave them the remote control! The majority is going along with the policy peacefully? What the fuck? Of course they wouldn't take the logical way through. I'm sorry, but once again, this is absolutely bullshit. Every single person in the city would be reacting like Mr. Arunda. I don't care how badly Dimitri screwed up. No society ever would fucking do this. See, this is the thing that made me angry, because I'm honestly worried that the writers are wanting us to disagree with Mr. Arunda. And I'm sorry, but no one ever would. So I'm not sure what kind of target demographic this is going for. Technology is the reason this comic exists. Technology is the reason I have stuff to do every day. Technology is the reason I'm still alive. And I know I'm not the only one who is this way. Then Archimedes and Knuckles finally attacked the robot. What, were they scared? Why did it take them until dawn to finally do anything? And they must be pretty sleepy if they stayed up all night in the bushes. Why didn't they just go home while they were at it? Also, the guy with the black cloak ordering the robots around has a cyborg arm, and a shimmering red light from within his cloak that you'd think would be pretty annoying from his everyday life when trying to just see stuff, especially when looking in the mirror. We get another flashback to the past. I can only assume these are Archimedes thinking back to his school history lessons. And we see an entire army of people in black hoods, reminding me of Anonymous, rising up in a perfectly logical insurrection. Because it turns out that robbing people of technology was a bad idea. Who would have ever thunk it? Now, if only they hadn't said the majority weren't opposed to this. And logically, not everyone who opposes the rule will be brave enough to do this. I'm sure most of them just got into their flying cars and outright left the island saying, fuck this. So maybe when they said the majority supported the law, they were only thinking that because the majority of people still on the island were supporting it, while the actual majority of the Echidnas left instead of getting themselves in trouble. So they didn't make themselves known for not supporting it, so people think that the majority supported it. Sacred duty? Why the word sacred for preserving technology there? You'd think they'd be anti-religion. I like how he points out that the elite would like them to go back to the Dark Ages. Dark Ages. That's good lampshading there. It's a shame he got cut off before being allowed to finish what he was saying. That only Dimitri had done anything wrong, and the elite are just overreacting. Then, who I'm guessing is the kid of Dimitri from the beads in his dreadlocks, was invading their meeting, and almost got shot by a laser as he runs out. Archimedes and Knuckles waited until the next night to tell the Chaotix what was going on? And judging from Charmy's reaction, they're just now finding out about this. How could they have not noticed an army like that? I guess they're in the Chaos Chamber guarding the Emerald, as they're implied to do when Knuckles isn't guarding the Emerald. But then why was Charmy aware of any commotion at all? And since Espio shows up, it looks like now no one's guarding the Emerald. Really? They all left the chamber at once? Why? Also, when Knuckles is asked why he could see Espio when he was invisible, which I don't remember being revealed when he had first met him, he just says the Echidna trade secret, implying that there's a pseudoscience explanation when he could have just said that Echidnas can just magically do that. Then as the Chaotix start fighting the robots, we see into the cloaks of the hooded guys and it looks like they're just red blobs with yellow eyes. Yeesh, I hope they're just a weird costume they're wearing under those cloaks. A group uniform, I guess. I don't see anything. Well, I can imagine that wearing a cloak would do that to your peripheral vision. And seeing as how the guy on the right has his eyes looking like cracked glass, I'm guessing the yellow eyes are actually yellow contacts on top of red masks. But I can clearly see their yellow eyes and mouths emoting and stuff. So what are these echidnas disguising themselves as these weird life forms with magic? But why? This is certainly interesting. I'll never say this comic is uncreative, but why? Also, why would SBO ever turn off his invisibility when he's still in a fight? Knuckles comes up with a plan to retreat and regroup because there's too many of them, and says that they may have strength in numbers, but we know the terrain. That's a good point. Dimitri's kid, in a flashback, steals a UFO to fight fire with fire, and thinks that Dad would disagree. Oh, so my first assumption was right, he is the kid of Dimitri's brother. That was so unclear. He then gets shot down in the UFO, and I don't know if he survived, but I don't really care. What did he think would happen when he got involved? He should have just minded his own business. Those people weren't doing anything wrong. If they don't want to give up their medicine and air conditioning, let them protest. They're just doing what they think is right. And even with their pursuing the kid, it was overzealous, but if they hadn't fought back, he would have wrecked their plan, maybe caused a lot of damage with the UFO. What were they supposed to do? Just sit there? Knuckles and his friends get surrounded by the cloak guys somehow, and Knuckles is lied to that he's the only echidna left. Not sure why these guys want to hide the fact that they're echidna so badly. And this guy has a really bad line, being a hero. Wouldn't these guys think of themselves as the heroes? No one would ever say this. Knuckles snorks that he'd rather be back in the desert. And then an echidna with ugly cyborg eyes named Kragok says to Knuckles that they have more in common than he thinks, and that if he joins him, they can reclaim their birthright, because he thinks that his family is entitled to owning the world, I guess, and threatens him if he decides to oppose him. Okay, I'll admit this guy succeeds at being menacing, but what was the point of having that guy lying to Knuckles that he's the last of his kind if they're just going to show him an echidna 2 seconds later? The story was written by Ken Penders and Kent Taylor. I wasn't expecting this to be a joint effort. I thought it would just be Penders. And honestly, it wasn't until I started wondering if the echidnas who still liked technology were being portrayed as the bad guys that I started getting angry at this comic. There's no way this would be only a small minority. Logically, everyone would be all up in arms, but instead I'm expected to believe that the majority were just fine with it. And that everyone who did oppose it were gutsy enough to join the rebellion instead of simply getting in their flying cars and leaving the island. That would be way simpler and less dangerous to do if you didn't want to be robbed of all your stuff. The flashbacks to the past are justified as being the Dark Legion's backstory, but I'm seeing a big gap here that wasn't filled yet. Why did these guys become so evil? Why are these guys now the type to invade Angel Island and probably want world domination and even make themselves look really weird when they started out as just regular old people who didn't want to be robbed of their VCRs? By the way, that certainly dated the comic. An ultra-advanced echidna society and they still haven't moved on to Blu-ray. That's pretty funny, actually. So yeah, I'm conflicted here, because I'm fully supportive of these guys in the past. They're the scrappy underdogs rising up against a bullshit law that anyone would disapprove of. If you were in that situation, you'd probably be one of them. But then 400 years later, they're suddenly all evil and I'm wondering what went wrong. They went from normal people to full-on completely at the black part of black and white morality, as if they gave up halfway through on it being like a sympathetic, well-written villain team. I'll forgive that if this is actually explained. So basically the only reason I was so angry with this story is that, well, one, Knuckles and Archimedes wasted a whole bunch of time hiding in the bushes instead of just going straight to the chaotics. And two, it seems like the writers want me to disagree with the people opposed to abandoning technology. And I'm sorry, but no. I'm uncomfortable with being treated like the bad guy here. This guy's right. This guy has such cathartic lines for me. And ironically, I bet even the writers themselves would have been feeling that way if they were the victim of the situation. So it annoys me to see him somehow being the minority in the situation. I can understand fearing modern technology when I watched the episode of Futurama where everyone had iPhones in their eyes and became totally obsessed with using them all the time. That was fairly creepy. But that doesn't excuse abandoning all technology, including indoor plumbing and cars and air conditioning and heart pills. There's gotta be a middle ground here. Why not just have them ban some technology? I feel like the Dark Legion of the past is too sympathetic, if anything. They have such a logical, natural motivation that they don't really feel like villains. It annoys me that they're portrayed as villains for this. This is certainly a fascinating, creative concept, a city abandoning technology. It's just that only a minority of people are opposed to this kind of kills it for me. I don't think this story was horrible, just that one thing I mentioned made me really angry. Next up, issue 2 of the Knuckles comic. And we'll be continuing with the Knuckles comic until the 6th issue, where I'll be able to return to the main comic with Supersonic Special Issue 2.